The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour podcast on SportstownChicago.com. Welcome back to Ryan and Ryan here on SportstownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And we have the stream up here for the Cubs game. Hopefully it'll work. It keeps saying I have to update Adobe Flash Player, but hopefully I won't have to do that and it'll play anyway. But we'll see if it does or doesn't. If not, we can just, use MLB.com Game Day, which is the animated version of the game. Not as exciting, obviously. But, right now we're going to talk about the Sox, how they got just manhandled by the Twins, which is very surprising. Sale had an off day, something that we probably won't see again this year from him. But
the first time in his career giving up 9 runs. And, I mean, if you're a White Sox fan, you can't feel good because in consecutive games, Samardzija gives up 8 runs, and then Sale gives up 9. And I remember they were watching that Orioles game that Samardzija pitched. Hawk and Steve were both saying even though Samardzija's pitched really bad, they're going to try to get him to go a couple extra innings just so the bullpen doesn't feel so taxed because they. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's thin right now with guys that are good. I think they have an extra position player, so they don't even have an extra bullpen arm. And then Sale goes and only pitches 3 innings. Yeah,
that's not good because then you have long relief issues, and it's not like the Sox bullpen is horrible, but
it's not as bad as last year. I mean,
no, nothing's as bad as last year.
Except guys are going to be really tired, and with the way that if Samardzija and Sale are in consecutive starts are allowing 17 runs combined between the two of them, and then the Sox end up losing like 11-2 yesterday, 12-2 or something. Mm-hmm. And then you have Danks and Noesi pitching this week. I mean, do you really think you're going to get much out of those two?
No, I don't think so. That's definitely something that we'll have to keep an eye on because the issue is now you have Quintana, Danks, Noesi pitching.
And Quintana's been terrible this year.
Yes, he has been. And that was a good trade for me early in the season, trading. I'm not going to say it was a good trade. I got R.A. Dickey back, who hasn't been good either, but he's been better than Quintana.
I know. I thought you sold a little low on Quintana. I mean, obviously he's pitched pretty
I'm
terrible.
not quite sure why I didn't, because my friend likes the Sox. I'm not quite sure. I should have tried to get 2 pitchers.
Either that or just get a better pitcher for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, R.A. Dickey is a guy that I thought would have a bounce-back year. I mean, he was really good with the Mets, and he had that awesome knuckleball.
Well, he's also like 45 years old.
I don't think he's that old, but
I'll get more. He's actually like 40.
I get the exaggeration, though.
He is like 40, though. I mean, he's not a dinosaur like Bartolo Colon.
Right. So, It'll really be interesting to see what the Sox do this weekend against the Twins because you have to win games in the division. I mean, for any team, you have to win your games against the division. And if they get swept or lose 3 or 4 to the Twins, I mean, they'll be right there with the Indians for last place.
I mean, I wouldn't rule. I mean, I don't think they'll get swept because the Twins' pitching staff is
it's almost impossible
terrible,
to get swept.
Except, I mean, if they win a game, it'll probably be the game Danks or Quintana pitches. I don't think they can win the game that Noesi pitches.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you there. I think you have to win either when you have Danks or Quintana on the mound. Noesi,
if they get to Sunday,
come to a loss.
If they get to Sunday and they've lost 3 games in the series, I'd say and Noesi's pitching, right. And then throw in the fact that they lost when Samardzija pitched against the Orioles.
That's right. Moving on to the north side of town, it looks like the Cubs are going to be getting ready to play in just a few minutes. We do have the live stream up here. I'm glad that worked.
Is today the day that Chris Bryant hits number 1? Or could it be tomorrow?
If not, It's going to happen this series. I think most people are thinking it's going to happen. Most people probably thought it would have happened in Pittsburgh, and he was so close a couple times.
Yeah, he was in Pittsburgh. I didn't think he was going to hit it during the week because of how cold it was against the Pirates. Mm-hmm. I think this weekend it's going to be warmer out. The wind might be blowing out, or if it's blowing in, it won't be howling. There will be warmer out. The ball will be carrying, and the Brewers have an awful pitching staff. I mean, they just have an awful pitching staff.
They do. Really, the only guy that's pretty decent is the guy that's pitching today, Willie Peralta. He had a good year last year. I think he had Team high 17 wins for the Brewers.
Yeah, I think he had like a 3.50 ERA, 150 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's not bad, but as you keep looking down the rotation, and don't forget they traded Marco Estrada
and Giovanni Gallardo
and Giovanni Gallardo, which I thought was a little strange.
Not
the Giovanni Gallardo one. I understand the Giovanni Gallardo one because I think they got some good things in return.
They got a couple prospects. One of them might be just a utility player. The Marco Estrada one, I thought, was a really good one for them. It got him Adam Lind.
It did get him Adam Lind, and he's been really good.
Yeah, because they realized...
I mean, he's been the star of the team so far.
Yeah, I mean, they realized they needed a first baseman because the Mark Reynolds-Lyle Overbay platoon was not going to get it done this year, and Adam Lind's been really good.
It looks like today, starting out in the outfield, it'll be Coughlin and Soler out there. I saw...
Soler needs to start hitting better. Right. I mean, I know he does not look like an April guy at all. I mean, you can see he's always got his face covered with a giant mask. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he only has 2 home runs, and they were both in that same game.
Addison Russell is playing today at second base. David Ross will be catching John Lester.
Shocker.
Which is, as usual. John Lester's record, he's 0-2 with a 6.23 ERA. So, I mean,
he pitched
just imagine how high it was before he pitched pretty well a couple days ago. So.
Yeah. His last start, he pitched 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, and struck out 10.
Right. So the Cubs are getting underway. We'll keep you updated.
And again, we're going tomorrow, where we don't mind if Chris Bryant saves that first home run for tomorrow.
I don't mind that at all. All right. So as they get underway, we're going to take a break, and we will come back. We'll talk about the Bulls. We'll preview the Bulls and Cavaliers, and we'll also keep you updated on the Cubs and Brewers game, which is happening right now as pitch number 1 is in, and it's a strike. No, it's a ball. Wow. Okay, we'll be right back here on Ryan and Ryan, SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to Ryan and Ryan here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
Yeah, we're watching the Cubs-Brewers game live. The Cubs have first and third, 1 out. Chris Bryant is up.
It should be bases loaded or 1-0. Fowler was thrown out.
Fowler was thrown out trying to stretch what was really only a 1-base hit. He tried to stretch it into a triple.
Well, he tried to get to third base on Soler's single, which he shouldn't have done.
Right. So Bryant's up now, and Willie Peralta's pitching for the Brewers, and we'll see what Bryant can do.
No, that's a swing and a miss. So, anyways, we were just talking about how awful Chris Sale pitched yesterday, and how awful the Sox starting pitching has pretty much been this year. I mean, it hasn't been good. I mean, it hasn't been terrible, except recently it's been really, really bad, especially with the fact that Samardzija and Sale have combined to give up 17 runs in their in back-to-back starts with each other. Yeah. And so right now the Cubs are the only day game. Chris Bryant's still looking for that first home run. I mean, I'd be okay if he hits it today. If he hits it tomorrow, I'll probably be more happy since we're going.
Yeah, I'd be a little more happy if he hit it tomorrow. Yeah. But if he hits it today, hey, we get to call it live.
Yeah.
Especially if he does it right here. There's your cue, Bryant.
Yeah, and really, I mean, this is an important weekend because, I mean, the Cubs are facing the lowly Brewers, who have 4 or 5 wins, and then the Pirates and Cardinals are playing each other, so hopefully Pittsburgh can win that series.
That's a big series in St. Louis for sure.
Yeah, that's a big series for both teams.
Mm-hmm. For the Pirates to get back on track, or for the Cardinals to separate themselves from everyone else yet again. So.
Right, yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, and Bryant struck out and
strike him out,
throw him out. That was bad.
I guess if you're going to try that against any team, I guess the Brewers. Would be good. It just kind of sucks that you get 3 hits in the inning and
3 hits and no runs.
I mean, at least hit a sac fly or something.
Yeah, that was one thing that really annoyed me on Thursday. Rizzo was on first. There was a 3-2 count on Montero with 1 out. 3 straight pitches were fouled off, and Rizzo was running on all of them.
Right.
And then the next pitch, Montero struck out. Rizzo was thrown out at second. I'm just thinking, if you do that on every pitch on the 3-2 with less than 2 outs, they're going to be ready for it.
Yep.
I mean, all they have to do is throw a strike, and then they can probably throw Rizzo out. I mean, they're getting a little too aggressive and a little too greedy with trying to take bases. I mean, strike him out, throw him out. Fowler trying to go from first to third on a soft single up the middle where the center fielder probably had the ball before right when Fowler was making the turn.
This is just so funny that we're on an English website. It's like a UK website. Everything is like so different, like their commercials and stuff. It's fascinating, actually. It's very strange.
Yeah. So,
but yeah,
it is a big weekend, and the Cubs should be able.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And the only negative with with the way the pitching rotation is lined up, you've got Lester, Arrieta, and Hamill pitching against the Brewers, except they play at St. Louis next week.
Yep. Yes, they do.
And then you're going to have Wood, Hendricks, and Lester, so you don't even get Arrieta.
Right.
I mean, and the thing with that, Arrieta pitches Friday against the Brewers again. I mean, granted, Arrieta should have two more really good games. Yeah. I mean that's the only negative. Arrieta doesn't get to pitch against St. Louis, which is the team that he's probably pitched the best against in his career.
Right.
Them and the Reds, he's just absolutely dominated.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I was kind of thinking back to that game Arrieta almost had the no-hitter against the Red Sox last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of wondering, I wonder if the Red Sox were wondering what happened to that guy, because they remembered how easy it was to tee off on him when he was with the Orioles.
Right.
Like, I'm just kind of wondering, I wonder what they were thinking, like, what's gotten into this guy?
Yeah, the Orioles certainly feel bad about what, they're probably like, man, we should have stuck with Jake Arrieta.
Yeah, I don't think he would have pitched. I don't think he would have reached his peak with the Orioles, because a lot of times something like that happens with a change of scenery, or it could just be all Chris Bosio. The change of scenery, getting a new fresh start.
Right.
Because he had high expectations, and the Baltimore starting pitchers generally just don't pitch very well. And
Fowler had a nice catch right there.
On a Chris Davis who hit a drive to the gap. Fowler with a nice running catch. And I think the change of scenery helped Jake Arrieta out a lot. And then when you throw in the fact that you're with Chris Bosio, one of the most respected pitching coaches in the game, the highest paid pitching coach in the game. So, it was a win-win for both teams. Baltimore didn't have to worry about Arrieta anymore. And when they drafted him in the fourth round out of high school, he was like a top-rated prospect that was supposed to be tough to sign because of going to. Actually, no, they drafted him in the fourth round out of college. He was drafted out of college, and he was one of the top prospects coming out, and he fell to the fourth round, and then they drafted him. Then he had control issues. He was giving up a lot of home runs. Now he doesn't really give up home runs. He hasn't allowed a single home run this year. Oh, I'm sorry. He has allowed one home run this year, and it was to Todd Frazier on a pitch that I don't know how he hit out. That's just how strong Todd Frazier is.
Mm-hmm. Well, there goes the Cubs no-hitter. Not that it would have happened, but
Jason Rogers hit a single to left field off of John Lester, and then throw in the fact the Cubs got Pedro Strop and the money, the international bonus money to sign Jen-Ho Sang, who has an amazing 12-6 curveball and a great curveball, great breaking pitches in the Cubs minor league system. At a 2.50 ERA, he was their minor league pitcher of the year last year.
Yeah, that's really impressive for sure.
That is, it's amazing how they turned Scott Feldman and Steve Clevenger into Arrieta, Strop, and Jen-Ho Sang.
That's the power of Theo Epstein right there.
Yeah, and then that was probably one of the best trades they made. Cashner for Rizzo was a fantastic trade, except the Padres are like the way Cashner pitches for them, where Feldman was pitched a half a year for the Orioles.
Right.
And then, of course, when you throw Hamill and Samardzija and get Addison Russell and Billy McKinney and Jason Hamill back, pretty much. You get Jason Hamill back in the offseason, and then you sign John Lester as a free agent. And then the White Sox go and trade for Samardzija and sign Giovanni Sotos. The Chicago teams were literally just stealing Oakland's players.
Yeah, and Oakland's still not doing that bad of a job.
No, they're having trouble scoring runs. I believe I read they're 0-7 or 0-8 in games decided by 2 runs or less.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're not scoring runs. Their bullpen has been a little bit of an issue. Obviously, their starting pitching isn't as good. They did lose a lot of thunder in their offense, trading Cespedes last year at the trade deadline and then trading Josh Donaldson. And I thought they sold low on Josh Donaldson. The Cubs could have offered a little bit of a better package for Donaldson without sacrificing too much talent. I mean, that probably trading for him wouldn't have really solved much because, I mean, that put him at third base and then that'd be Bryant's position.
Right.
Which, I mean,